So this session is about careers in IT and ITES, right? Everybody knows the agenda, right? Look at this. तो मैं right बोलेगा तो wrong बोलने का, okay? So, okay, everybody awake? I'm going to ask this every 5 minutes, huh? I don't trust y'all after lunch, especially mast Gujarati lunch with so many chapatis and bhaji. Superb food actually. So I don't expect that everybody is going to be awake. Okay. So this is about careers in IT and ITES. I have exactly an hour and 5 minutes. So I really need you to pay attention because we have a lot to cover. And then we'll have Q&A for 10 minutes and I'll have to run. Okay. Okay. So everybody knows what IT means, right? What are we talking about? Information technology. Okay. So that is basically you're talking about software companies in general. And software companies also actually have many categories. They might be doing software services, they might be delivering products and other things. Okay. So IT is slightly broad, but you know, in general, what you've said, information technology is good enough. ITES, what does that mean? Yes, IT-enabled services. The other word for it is, of course, people say call center or BPO. And these have different meanings. BPO is, call centers are within BPOs. Okay, BPO covers voice and non-voice. There are different parts to it, but that's ITES. What I'll do is, I'll spend a little time on IT, little time on ITES, and I'll also very quickly tell you about online jobs. I'm also exploring it, by the way. I'm not saying I've had great success or whatever, but I'll kind of cover a little bit of that also, okay, in very, very brief. Okay. In both IT and ITES, I'm first going to cover one thing which is common among them, which is shared services. And then after that, I'll talk about specialized jobs in IT and ITES. So what does that mean? In any company, including IT and IT-enabled service companies, they require people who are a support team. And that's where a lot of jobs are there for the visually impaired. Okay. So what do I mean by support? In IT companies, people might be programming, people might be testing, correct? Yeah. In a BPO, people might be a customer service representative, or you might have people who are doing some data entry, correct or not? Yeah. But all these people require support. So what kind of support do they require? What kind of teams support these main people who are working? Can you tell me? Who are the people who are supporting these main people who are working in the company? Sorry? Administrative staff, right? No? Yes. Okay. So what is any other example? What else? Administrative staff. What else? Accounting, finance. What else? Marketing. Very good. Operations is the main work. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So I'm just telling you everything around it. What else? Sorry? Human resources. Absolutely. What else? PR. Very good. Customer care could be, but it depends because that might be the main work they're doing. But yes, you know that you're very rightly pointed out. Customer care, I'll say internal customer care. Very good point you brought up. In fact, that's a very good area where we are placing people. We just call them help desk. Okay. Just a little difference in name. But internal help desk or internal customer care. So it's almost like the people in the company itself are your customers. Okay. So that is a very good area, help desk. Any other areas? Everybody forgot training? Kya yaar? That's like first. I thought you'll come up with that right in the beginning. So you have covered almost all the types of support services that are provided in a company. Another word used for that is shared services. Okay, so that's a term which is used, shared services. Now this is an area where we are able to place persons with vision impairment. So I'll give you the examples, the same examples you took, but I'll take one of them, and I'll take 10 minutes for each of these things. You know, this session, shared service, I'll take 10 minutes, then I'll talk about the operations, jobs, etc. So in shared services, we talked about HR, right? So let me talk a little bit more on what we mean by human resources. There are many sides to it. I won't go into it. But the main place where we are placing visually impaired is in the demand area. The demand area is in recruitment. Correct or not? See, there might be people who are doing performance appraisals and other things, okay? But we are talking about pure recruitment. So what does recruitment mean? selecting candidates, etc. Right? Yeah, correct. You're very right. So let's understand that process a little bit. In the beginning, the company needs to get different candidates, isn't it? From various sources. The word used for that is sourcing. Simple word, not very difficult. Sourcing also has some very different parts to it. In fact, just in sourcing, I have placed visually impaired in multiple types of roles. Very interesting. Some sourcing people just look on Naukri.com, emails and other things, and they can do the work. So what do I require here? General education, degree, whatever, good computer skills, good quality consciousness, isn't it? Because, you know, I've got a person's resume, person's name is Shanta, and this person writes Shanti because they know one Shanti. Not very useful. Correct or not? So, you know, but otherwise, this person doesn't need to be very talkative, have the best communication skills. Not required at all. Hai ki nahi? Yeah, they have to do well in an interview. They should be able to communicate in a team. All that is there. But we are not saying they have to be, you know, the best. Okay? So this is one kind of sourcing. I've got another sourcing role which is actually very tough. In fact, that role we are finding is not necessarily in an IT company, but in the support company for an IT company. It is called HR consultant company. In fact, just now, 2 of my very good visually impaired students are in an excellent HR consultant firm. Okay, they just got placed 2 days back. They're just out of my computer training and they're very good students, so I could put them there. Otherwise, you know, I would have tried for them in this other sourcing role. So what is that sourcing? What they're trying to do is they're trying to get more candidates. If you look at Naukri, if you look at emails, they don't get enough. So what many people do is they do what you call multi-level marketing almost. What they do is they'll have a database from somewhere, they'll call that person, they'll build a relationship. Hi, yeah, you know, array, yaar, we've got a superb job. Do you have any friends? Huh? 5 friends. Tantadang, call those 5 friends. You know, they okay, Tantadang doesn't come that time, but anyway, you can imagine that sound. I have to do all this here to keep you awake. See, kya entertainment provide karna pad raha hai. Anyway, so whatever. So even that's another kind of sourcing role. Okay, my students are doing a slightly different work. You know, I'll tell you about that also. But at least they're in an HR consultant kind of firm. Okay, but the sourcing role, this particular one I'm talking about, is very different from the previous one. And it's not very easy. You know why? They have the T word in it. Dreaded T word. Do you know what the dreaded T word is? Target. Seriously. People, especially in many visually impaired, get scared of this word target. It's not very wrong, by the way. So what does target mean? You'll be given a target that you at least have to find 15, 20, 40, 50 people, say this month, for a particular job. Okay? Now, if you want 50 people to be selected, you might have to call almost 500 people, then out of which 250 might be the, you know, 200 might be right, 100 might come to your premise, 50 will get selected. Correct or not? So there's a lot of planning that happens and you're never, you're kind of under pressure all the time. So the people who have the right attitude, isn't it? We said we have to have the right attitude. So the people who like that kind of challenge, it's actually very interesting. Kya aaj Siddhant sourcing kar paega? Dekhte hain agle episode mein. So if you're that kind of person, but it's actually like that. For the right people, you ask them, I've got some people doing this work, they love it. Because they feel challenged. Right or not? I can do 2 things with you. Arey, you're visually impaired. Tu itna karega to kafi hai. Do you want that? No. Arey, kya karna hai? You know, learn. Don't meet targets. Puski yaar, target nahi meet kiya. Nikalne wala hai next. It's not really going to be that they're going to remove you. But definitely, there is pressure. You can't keep underperforming all the time, isn't it? So there is no doubt about it that there is pressure in such a job. And therefore, there is not amazing job security. Okay, but frankly, job security is what you make of it. Okay, even in a very good company where you have a very simple role, what does job security mean? You can understand. Okay, I don't believe that there is job, you know, even government jobs, I don't think that's job security because you're so bored. I mean, I don't know. Okay, so don't ask me about job security. Okay, coming back to this, they have to be able to be very pleasant on the phone, but more importantly, they need to understand the other person. Because, for example, if they're calling this person, they should come, na? Hi, I'm calling you for an interview tomorrow. Will you come? Definitely. But the person won't turn up. So you've got to have a lot of convincing skills. You have to be very savvy. You have to be able to understand people. So if you've got that kind of personality, then this sourcing job suits you. Otherwise, the other sourcing job, as we spoke about. After you source candidates, you usually have to coordinate. Okay, this is, in companies like IBM, etc., they have a sourcing team. Then, there's a screening team. I shouldn't say coordination. First, there's screening. You got resumes, you have to screen them. Okay, so sometimes in big companies, they'll have 10 people doing sourcing, 10 people doing screening, 10 people doing the next step, etc. Or you might be doing all in one. Okay, so I'll just tell you the different steps. So in screening, what you're doing is, the position is 3 years plus work experience in this and this and this, Java and something else. And you don't even know what these terms mean. So you have to be quick at learning these terms. It's not rocket science. You can understand what it means. And then you have to look at the CV very quickly. Correct? And understand whether that person has the skills, put it in the right place, send it to the next team, whatever. So screening is one part of the job, and you definitely, again, have to have very good computer skills. In all these, you have to be having smart work. I'll tell you why I'm saying that. If the person is biodata, mostly what will we call our resumes, no? Biodata, bio1. So all of you will have those kind of names. But the person who is doing the work, they'll need to make the file name the right name. Correct or not? So if your name is Nirmala Menon, so, then I should make the CV, instead of it being called bio.doc, I should rename it. You would have learned that in JAWS. How to do rename, you will give the answer. But you will not use it at the right place. Correct? So, sorry I'm giving a detailed example, but I'm trying to say that knowing computers doesn't mean, yeah, I know computers. MS Office, fantastic. Windows Explorer, bap, no use. It is how you're using it smartly in the job. How, you try to make your work easier. How you're efficient in the job. That's what will make a difference, right? So that is about screening, correct? Then there is another type of job within that same HR. So you might be doing all these jobs, by the way, which is called coordination. So in a big company like IBM or whatever, what they will do is they'll have somebody coordinating with the consultants. Okay, doing a lot of work to make sure that candidates come to the premise. So there's a lot of calling work, Oh, I'm very good at communication. I'll be fantastic at this job. Yeah, but you were supposed to call 77 candidates. You called only 40. What is the reason? This person was not disciplined, not process-oriented. They didn't write it in an Excel sheet. They didn't have a marker which said, I've already called this candidate. This candidate I called, but the phone number was wrong. I'll have to try again. This person told me to call next time, after 5 days. Correct or not? These kind of things, if we don't note down, we will not do our job properly. Does everybody agree? Such a small thing I'm telling you. But why am I going into this detail is because you understand what problems will happen otherwise. Okay, because I can only cover one example in detail. Okay, so that's why I'm doing that. Okay, so that was the, doing the coordination, etc. Then there's another team of people who might do interviews. I had one very good visually impaired person whose job in the BPO sector. So IT may you'll usually not do the interviews. In the BPO side, there is the first person whom you meet, usually conducts a group discussion for you. Okay? So this group discussion, what he does, he takes 14, 15 people, puts them in a room, and says, speak 1 minute about childhood memories. Something like that. And this guy has to have very good English himself, so that he can evaluate your English. Remember, BPO is all about your English skills, etc., for voice processes. So he's evaluating you and noting things down. So this guy used to do it in Braille or whatever. So he had an alternate way of doing the work. We made sure the company understood that. They said, oh, wait a minute. The person has to write on the board what are the positions available. I said, don't worry, he'll make it in PowerPoint and show it to everybody. It'll look more professional. They said, oh, wow, yeah, correct. So again, notice I'm telling you solutions while we are talking, okay? Every time you have to give an alternate solution. So this is the work he did, and it was amazing. He did his job really well. So out of 13 to 15 people, 2 might pass and go to the next stage. Okay? So that is also part of what work you all can do. There's another type of team very often in big companies called offer and follow-up team. Interviews happened, technical people did the interviews, they liked the person. After that, we have to give an offer to the person, right? Okay, so they would have sent an offer maybe, and you are following up. Your job is to call many candidates, make sure that they will join on the date they're supposed to join. Did they get their offer? Explain their offer. A lot of things are there in the offer and follow-up team. We've got some people doing that also, okay? And finally, there are people, I have not placed people in onboarding, but there are people who do onboarding. That is, they make sure that you have the right documentation, you've come into the company and, everything, the paperwork is done. So I'm just telling you a little bit about the different types of things and where you might fit. For your information, all these roles might be rolled into one and you could be performing that. So I gave you very quick information on HR. Another role we said was trainer, right? Trainer requires very high skills. Does everybody agree? I'm standing here. If I English no, not, I not communicate, I scared you off. How, what am I going to do? Correct or not? So sorry. High communication skills, understanding the people in the audience, and again, being very good about it. Because remember, you're going to be visually impaired and a trainer. You might be doing soft skills training. I've placed one guy right now in Mangalore in Emphasis, and he's a soft skill trainer. And very genuine questions I made sure got answered. How am I going to know your body language as a visually impaired person, right? Because what we do, we train in soft skills, we train people on body language. So I gave them a solution. What is the solution? Use the others in the class. What does that mean? I might tell, let's say Jatin is not visually impaired and somebody else, So I'll just say, Jatin, you just now saw this guy speaking. How was his body language? Very good, madam. Really? Was he leaning forward? How was his face? What was his appearance like? Yeah, he was kind of a little forward and he was, okay, is that correct? Did you feel he was confident? Actually, no. So what you're doing is you're using the students to get the right information. They're your eyes. Of course, you need to know how to ask the right questions. Correct or not? So again, we're talking about skills. But can a visually impaired train? Yes. Can they be effective? Yes. In fact, better. I told those trainers there, you should be using the same method. The students will be more involved. Rather than you only telling, hey, your body language is not good, you lean forward. When you're using another student, the student feels more confident. Right or not? So, wow, yeah, they're like, yeah, correct, this is possible. Yes, yes. Right or not? So, soft skills training. You know there are voice and accent trainers in the country. Okay, I was looking for 6 voice and accent trainers I needed. I found only some, not many. Right? Because the skills were not out there. Same thing. In the class, how does this person teach? She makes sure that, everybody, I'm visually impaired. So you need to speak your name and do not go out of turn, whatever. So she makes sure, or he makes sure that the audience understands how to behave with a visually impaired trainer. Right? So training is possible. Now let's say you don't have too many skills for training. I'm going to tell you a super position. Training coordinator. Training coordinator. There are so many trainings going on in a company. You can become a coordinator. Generally, I have noticed they may not accept a totally blind person in this role. I think you can convince them. Frankly, I think it's not difficult. But you'll need to really push the solution. But let me tell you, training coordinator means what do you require to do? You require to know all the trainings that are required, maintain them properly in Excel sheets or whatever, follow up with the right teams outside who will do the training, right? You have to make sure that the premises where the training is going to happen. Today, here, this hall, there's a laptop. There's there are things going on there so that they'll record things. They've got water bottles. They've kept all the chairs in the right places. So they make sure these things happen. So that is the reason they might insist on a little bit of sight. At least if I'm low vision, can I make out that the chairs are there? But frankly, if you're blind also, you can do that, right? Can't you use a cane and go around and find out it's happening? So it's not difficult, but you need to be able to convince the manager. Show them physically that you can do that. Right or not? So that's the kind of work that a training coordinator's work is extremely difficult. Let me tell you this. They usually work long hours and they really need to make sure things are running effectively. So day and night when they're doing it, it's not an easy job, but it's a very good job. Okay? You have to be process oriented. You should have very good follow-up skills. Follow-up skills means, I called that fellow. He didn't respond. What am I supposed to do? But you're responsible for the training here. No, but I told him once. How many times I'll tell him? Also, he was very busy. That manager was very busy, so I couldn't talk to him. These things won't be acceptable. Right? So that's training coordinator. The job that this lady here mentioned, she mentioned about customer care. So I'll call it help desk. Nowadays, there are 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people in one location. When they have a problem with their computer, or they have a problem with some HR policy, something like that, they'll have to go all the way down to the HR person, wait, hi, whom should I talk to? It's difficult for them to do that. So very often companies nowadays are being very smart. They'll have an HR help desk where you call them. And then, most of your questions get answered. I'm having this, can I take leave, is this, whatever. Some questions get answered. I didn't get approval of this happened, whatever. So this person who is the help desk person, again, has to be a very good process-oriented person. They have to note down everything. That, oh, this particular person called, I need to get back to them. Help desk people also have targets. The target is more turnaround time. Somebody called you today, you said, no problem, government जैसा मैं 10 साल के बाद answer करेगा question, वो नहीं चलेगा, right? So the turnaround time there is important, right? But otherwise the job requires that you listen well. Does everybody agree? I told you I had a problem with leave, and you're like, oh, he's having a problem with what? And you didn't note it down properly. These can be issues. This is Vinod Kambli talking, and then you write Sachin Tendulkar there. It'll be a problem. So, wrong person, something like that. So, definitely good listening skills, good process orientation. Otherwise, the work is very straightforward. You have to use the right tool. I told you this, right? That if you're listening to JAWS and the person, what we did for one of our people who's working in this role, again, solution I'm saying, we gave them a hands-free headset, and in 1 year, they're hearing JAWS. In the other year, they're hearing the customer. Why am I doing this? So that both your hands are free. Correct? So you can type OK, and you don't have neck problem after some time, isn't it? Correct? So very simple thing. We're not talking about rocket science. But this has helped the person to do their job effectively. Right? And we, of course, made sure JAWS was configured properly with the software. Actually, there was no real software. It was an intranet site, an internet page. But still, there were some problems with that. We took care of the problems so that he'll be efficient. Because you can't afford to take time, right, when the person is talking to you on the phone. So the type of help desks are HR help desk, admin help desk, travel help desk, technical help desk. You don't know, one company might have 1 or 2 or whatever. I keep asking everywhere, क्या है आपके यहाँ? कौन सा help desk है? पूछते रहने का. You never know what will be there. So this is the, sorry? अरे वो अभी तक मैंने देखा नहीं है. Canteen help desk मैंने देखा नहीं है, but आ जाएगा. Why not? Okay. The other areas are admin and finance. We have put visually impaired in finance. The one we put actually, of course, you have 2 varieties. If you're totally blind, it's better if you're working in more of taxation or analysis, etc. Okay, in fact, even our low vision person, where we have put them, we are trying to move him because, you'll have a strain in your eyes. So especially if you're low vision in this in-between category, be very careful about how much vision you're using. Till you go for a job, just make sure, can you work 8 hours continuously by looking at the screen? Because in the right places, make sure you're using JAWS. Don't only work on the magnifier. Please be a little smart about it, otherwise you might have problems. Okay, so this is another, place where we can place people. I'm going to mention one thing, especially because I see Jatin here. It's not shared services, but every company nowadays has a CSR division, Corporate Social Responsibility Division. What are they doing there? They are doing work with the community. Why should that not be your job? Right or not? Again, person has to be very dynamic. Because you need to make a difference. You will be talking to many managers, many volunteers, many people across the company. You need to know which programs have to be run. So again, all the follow-up skills, Excel skills, talking skills, all are required. But it's not that you have to be the best communicator. It's more important that you're an effective communicator. Okay, so that's shared services. Let me go on